You know, I often get asked, as a historian of women's history, how close I think women are to achieving equality with men in the 21st century. And honestly, the answer to that question is a bit of a mixed bag, because on the one hand, women in Britain have legislation and policies that protect them and give them rights. And in the majority of cases, it was women who fought for those. And in doing so, they placed themselves at great risk. But on the other hand, as we see from this image, this is Sabrina Carpenter's new album cover, by the way, which has just dropped. What we can see is that cultural attitudes are very stubborn, even among women themselves. Now, Sabrina Carpenter's new album is called Man's Best Friend, and looking at the image and considering that title, I just want to take a moment to honour every woman in history who died at the hands of a man. Every woman who has experienced domestic violence. Ironically, just by virtue of being female, Sabrina Carpenter has a 1 in 4 chance of experiencing domestic violence in her lifetime. I also want to honour every woman who has been objectified, mistreated, humiliated as a result of misogyny. I'd just like to take a moment to recognise all those women who never got a chance to be treated with humanity, dignity, never fulfilled their potential, never lived out their dreams, purely because of misogyny. And for Sabrina herself, I sincerely hope that this album fails, her career tanks, and she has to spend the rest of her life, because she's got so much free time on her hands, healing her internalised misogyny and learning women's history, so that in years to come she can look back on this day and realise that this album cover and album title is an absolute disgrace to every woman who has ever lived.
Is not ironic. It is not satirical. It is tone deaf.
Okay, I actually think it's really funny now. I'm going down the rabbit hole of Sabrina Carpenter. People are thinking they're out here doing think pieces. It's actually fucking gnarly. Hey, the people who are out there being like, you guys don't get it. No, we do. You don't get it. I think you don't get it. Because here's what's up. I think that a lot of these young fans of hers are like, they're like politically feminist, but you haven't done the work. You haven't done research into women's history. You don't know how far behind we are. Do you know how many countries women just don't have education, are not allowed to get education? When women are seen as subservient objects, subservient beings, animals, if you look back into feminist language, into feminist insults, almost every single one derives to being a animal. A subservient animal. When majority of the planet still sees women as subservient objects, you cannot pose as such ironically. The firehouse burning down is ironic. The unsinkable ship sinking is ironic. A woman who is seen as a subservient object, posing as a subservient object, is not ironic. It is not satirical. It is tone deaf. Especially in a post-Roe v. Wade era. And I am not a fan of Sabrina Carpenter's songs, but I know she's not making nuanced political takes on the reg. So if she's doing all these, like, if she's doing 5D chess, making all these crazy, like, political takes, where's the energy anywhere else? You are just, it's you. You're not getting it. It's you. If you're out here being like, you guys are making me feel smart. No! You don't get it. I saw someone say, she's posing as a dog because men think women are dogs. And I'm like, so, what? Y'all, you know how many boyfriends are going to be like telling their girlfriends, can you please get on your knees like Sabrina did? Like, that would have been Missed the mark with that one, girly.
What if this is her hand and we've only seen half the image? This is all speculation, but just an idea that I have. And it stems from the Man-Child music video. Man-Child music video starts with a bird riding a turtle. At the end of the music video, the bird is carrying the turtle flying away. Talked about this in my full breakdown of the music video. If you watch the music video, her actions do not align with the lyrics of the song. Her saying that they always choose her, she's not choosing them. Man-child, why do you always come running to me? Even though she's the one hitchhiking. And somebody commented and pointed this out, that at the end of the music video, it shows how close she was to the city and how all of these men were just basically driving her in circles. But she was that close to getting to where she needed to go. And if she is the bird, if the bird represents her, then perhaps this album is going to be about her recognizing that she had the ability to fly without these men all along. She had the ability to go where she needed to go without having to hitchhike with these men. It could quite literally be an album about her overcoming the need to sensationalize herself, to sexualize herself, to align herself with these men, to palette herself more to these men in order to get her to where she needed to go in her career. In the Rolling Stone article that she released today, she talked about how sells. Those are the songs that became the most popular. Her Juno Position thing is what became the most popular about her tour. Trending on social media, all of those things. Perhaps this album is going to tell the story about that. About her discovering she always had the ability to fly without the turtle. And perhaps this image, when we see the full thing, it's going to be her dressed as a man to represent that it really was her doing this to herself, which opens a whole line of conversations that we can have as women about the societal norms and pressure that leads women to diminish themselves or to make themselves more appealing to the male gaze, or just the entire idea of selling, regardless of what gender it's selling to. Selling because it's controversial, it's scandalous, it's entertaining. Perhaps this is us on the verge of a rebrand for her, and maybe she is wanting to lean into a different aesthetic, but in order for her to get there, she needs to tell the story of why. And so perhaps maybe that is what Man's Best Friend is going to be. And like I said, this is all speculation, so I could be very wrong, and we will only know in time as the album comes out, but it is an interesting theory, and she's gotten all of our attention. It will be very interesting to see what she does with it.
Sabrina Carpenter's new album is a perfect example of how white women get to romanticize misogyny and it still be seen as empowerment. Historically, white women have always been positioned as the default version of femininity. By extension, their womanhood is treated as delicate, desirable, and deserving of protection. Contrasted with the hypersexual and masculinized view of femininity that has been imposed on black women and other women of color throughout history, white women have never had to worry about whether or not they would be seen as feminine or innocent or worthy of protection. This protection allows them to play with ideas of submission, sexualization, and degradation without it sticking to them. Black women and other women of color do not have that option. We have been hypersexualized and dehumanized from conception. We don't get to choose to be sexual. We are made into objects whether we consent to it or not. And so when white women like Sabrina Carpenter portray a romanticized version of misogyny and y'all call it camp, I read it differently. Because to me, it's just the patriarchy repackaged in something glittery and sparkly and girly. White feminism has always centered the experiences of white cishet women. And so by extension, this logic celebrates aesthetic rebellion without actually interrogating the systems that take place behind the scenes that allow this to happen. And so it doesn't surprise me all of the people that are defending the album cover and saying, this is empowering and God forbid a girl is a little bit freaked out. I'm like, of course, that's how you view it because you have been protected. You have been historically protected by femininity. You've never had to worry about whether or not you'd be hypersexual because that was always a choice for you. That was always a choice. So seeing what Sabrina Carpenter is doing is like, to you, that's revolutionary. To me, it's degrading.
When we're talking about Sabrina Carpenter's new album cover, title, and the new Lolita-style music video, it's important to acknowledge that there is a direct tie between internal misogyny and racism. First of all, none of this would have happened or worked if Sabrina Carpenter wasn't white, blonde, blue-eyed, tiny, the figure that men want her to be and women want to be so that men want them. Had this been Lizzo, had it been Nicki Minaj, Meg Thee Stallion, Beyonce, Camila Cabello, none of it would have worked. Suddenly, the inner feminism would have came out of your chest and you would have been in the comment section saying how this was degrading. And that's because internal misogyny is tied to racism. If a white man likes it, so do you. And I'm not talking purely to white women, though this is mainly to white women. But there are also women of color. There are also all genders, all sexualities of people that are going to be behind this. So if it was a woman of color, the internal white man in you would have rejected that. That wouldn't have been empowering. This is a very Marilyn Monroe versus Eartha Kitt. Marilyn Monroe, to this day, is posters hung in men's garage as this acceptable X symbol. Kim Kardashian is trying to embody her. Whereas we have Eartha Kitt, who was something similar and more talented and was put on the CIA's blacklist. The only difference is that Marilyn Monroe existed to be in the male gaze, and Eartha Kitt did it as empowering, and males happened to gaze at her. Do you see the difference? At a time in this country when we are watching Diddy face trial for dragging a woman by her hair and then sexually assaulting her and who knows how many women and children. At a time when we have a sitting president who is wreaking havoc in this country to get away from the fact that he is on the Epstein files, and some would argue that's the reason he ran. It should raise a red flag to you if you think that those two men are wrong, but you think Sabrina Carpenter is right. So then I challenge you to watch that music video or look at that album cover and imagine her being somebody that was black or brown. Imagine her body different, somebody really tall, somebody fat, somebody her age that looks like a woman and not a little girl. And then imagine everybody's reaction to that. If you're saying it's the same, you haven't been paying attention.
Sabrina Carpenter's album cover feels a lot like the headline, "Hot Grown Pop Star is Hot and Grown on Album Cover." In other breaking news, spoon found in drawer. It's not radical one way or the other. It's not setting feminism back 150 years, but it's also not a radical, satirical, ironic piece. It just is. This isn't to diminish people's emotional reaction to it. I love Sabrina Carpenter, but I do think that at the end of the day, the cover is a little ignorant to what's happening in the current political climate. It can be jarring to see a public figure, grown, adult, consenting woman or not, dragged around by her hair by a man on an album cover as like a long-standing piece of art. I can see why that can be triggering or upsetting, because we're currently living in a time where a woman, a black woman specifically, is being used as a human incubator. Our rights are shredded left and right, and yet here she is on her hands and knees for a man. But as many of you has pointed out, it's not the freakiest thing that a person can do in their intimate life. It's not even the freakiest thing she's ever done on stage. It's not that crazy to think about. Can it be uncomfortable? Yeah, but it's not doing long-lasting harm to feminism. That would be all of the extremely anti-feminist, anti-woman legislation, rhetoric, mindset, violence happening right now. A pop star who was just doing sex positions on stage, getting dragged by her hair by a dude, isn't that? But it's also not this radical liberatory piece either. It just is. Not subverting a particular cultural norm or calling out some type of great harm to women. I mean, yeah, she calls men stupid and dumb and unnecessary, but she also says that she just keeps attracting them. Just because she's aware both of the flaws of men and the power dynamic at play doesn't mean that she's subverting it there on her hands and knees in any radical way. And that's overwhelmingly clear because we're having this discussion right now. If it's ironic, if it's subversive, if it's doing the work y'all say it's doing, we wouldn't have this conversation. You know? I don't have to explain that the movie Vampires Suck is a spoof of Twilight because it did its job well, and you know it's a spoof, and you know what it's calling out, and you know where the humor is. But on this album cover, we can't really tell what exactly she's trying to accomplish in terms of subversion and irony or a call out. Y'all keep saying it, but I've yet to see someone properly defend what it is that she's doing in a way that makes us critically think beyond what we've already seen done in music before. Women are hot, independent creatures with their own desires isn't a radical take anymore. We know that. We have tons of music like that. The ideas of power and ownership and personhood aren't really subverted when she's on her hands and knees as man's best friend, whether it's ironic or not. Most importantly, if it was ironic, it would be obvious to others. If it was doing its work, it would be obvious to others. It wouldn't need to be explained this way. If I have to tell Chad that he's supposed to be uncomfortable and not attracted to this, called out, maybe even a little upset, it didn't do its job. It's not ironic or subversive. It's very much fulfilling the role assigned to it. And just because she knows she's filling that role, or maybe the music does, subvert it later or whatever, doesn't mean that the album isn't doing what it's doing. At the end of the day, that's not the freakiest thing she could have done on an album cover. It's not the freakiest thing people do in the bedroom. That is y'all's business. And if she wants to do that on an album cover, that's fine. She has long since established herself as a very physical, very intimate character on stage. Okay. But I also need y'all to stop trying to explain to me that it's ironic, because I can see where it could be ironic, and I can also see where it falls short. And in the cracks where it falls short lives Chad, who is perpetuating the same type of harm and violence against women that this image perpetuates. I will never knock a woman for doing whatever it is that she wants to do with her art, but I beg of y'all to stop trying to make every single thing some radical statement, because it just isn't.
Sabrina's new album cover is just satire, guys. It's just satire. Okay, then it's bad satire and I don't like it. What now? You guys don't get it. Like, her getting pulled by her hair is funny because women get pulled by their hair in real life. It's funny. It's funny because she's doing the thing that happens. It's funny. Like, I'm sorry, but in this climate, I really do not feel like being presented images like that and then being told to give it the benefit of the doubt and hope that it's secretly actually feminist in a roundabout way. I want obvious feminism. I want feminism that makes men uncomfortable, not turned on. We have plenty of degrading images of women out there already. I don't think we necessarily need more of them to make a point. A point that, where's the point? The point is more like a blur, just a vague blur, not even a point. If the point that she's making even exists, if the point is even in the room with us right now, which I don't even think it is, but if she does have a point and this is all secretly feminist, it better be very obvious in that album. The way that you guys are defending this, it better be clear as fuck. I better hear a song in there about like the women's suffrage movement or some shit.
Hot take, but I don't care that Sabrina Carpenter's new album cover is misogynistic. That girl's doing the exact same thing she's been doing for a year and a half, and you guys were eating it up then. Totally valid to think the timing is in poor taste, but I find it weird the discourse around a 25-year-old pop star woman being far more critical than the discourse around the incels on the internet, your local government official, and ICE raiding the streets. It's cyclical and thematic to point all of this aggression at a young woman instead. Talk about whatever you want, but I have other things to criticize with my time, and all of them are men.
I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I looked at Sabrina Carpenter's new album cover and it don't give me satire. It just mostly because she's not a thought leader. She's a pop star. And that's not to say that you can't be both, right? People have made art that was both like moving and striking, and then it gets people to think differently. But I just don't think that's her goal, intention, or like her impact. I don't think that's what's happening. I think she's just a freaky little white girl, and I think that makes some people uncomfortable, and in trying to defend it, they're just like, no, you just don't get it. Really, it's not much to get. Like, I kind of feel like this is where her brand has been going. Yeah, her show's deep likes now, on her knees, like having the Eiffel Tower shit going, you know what I think she just wants us to see, like, no, I be getting down, like, this is what I be on, baby, bed camp. I just didn't look at that cover and go, oh my god, she's on her knees, she's crawling to this man, and it's a metaphor, it's representative of how men actually are the ones that dog. Oh, I just think she liked being on her knees. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't think there was more to it. In fact, if anything, this was about the likes, clicks, views, because people are going to be talking about this. That is an argument I'm willing to hear, but people being like, no, you guys are just falling victim to conservatism, you guys are just falling victim to purity culture. That could be like a fraction of it, right? There are people that are just uncomfortable with seeing some sort of like kink being displayed on like mainstream media. But I just don't think we need to combat it by saying that it's something that it's not. She's just a freaky girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, a woman doing a thing is just not inherently feminist. I'm sorry. Like, I think she's just a freaky girl. May be empowering for her, right? Like, this might be like her, like, oh my god, I'm doing this huge thing. I'm embracing my sexuality. But what is empowerment for her does not mean that it has to be empowerment for all. Like, somebody might feel empowered, but girl, I'm like, anywho, it's Wednesday. But hey, we talking about it. I'm still gonna listen to it. I would say it was successful. I would say this was a successful drop.
Sabrina Carpenter's new album cover is not subversive. It's not ironic. It's her getting dragged by the hair by a man. There's another picture also on her stories that looks like it's like the image on the CD where she's on a bed and there's like an older man at the foot of the bed. She's comparing herself to a dog. Like, this is not really hard to figure out. It's not satire of the culture that we're in. She's not somebody who makes poignant points about all this. She basically like sometimes disses guys in her music, and then the rest of the time she's like, I'm horny. So unless her music is genuinely politically charged and politically nuanced, there's really not a way for her to redeem herself from such imagery. because the optics of that album, because that's going to be part of her legacy, the optics of an album where she's getting dragged by the hair by a man, it's just not actually empowering. And I doubt that there's any kind of song on there that like redeems this imagery, this optic. If we were to analyze it, it's as if her message is like, haha, I'm being degraded in the album cover. Isn't that funny because I'm not being degraded in real life? But the reality politically right now is that women are still getting degraded, and her self-subjugating herself is not like clever. She also recently did a photo shoot that references Lolita. Like, what is the subversion here? Are you going to molest a child? It's not clever, it's not cheeky, it's not subversive. Her new song, Man Child, also is boring. It's the same thing in terms of content that we've seen from her before. She has a song on Short and Sweet called Dumb and Poetic. This is basically the same song. Oh, you're a man child. Like, okay, we get it.
I believe that Sabrina Carpenter is one of the best artists who is so in tune with her aesthetic, but I can't say that I really love what she's doing with the new album. I completely understand what she's going for. I get that it's satire. I understand that it's supposed to be irony, but I don't think that just because it's supposed to be satire, that kind of excuses the execution of it. We're in a political climate right now that is really, really intense. It's a lot that is going on. We're seeing really, really scary things as the far right has been very scarily taking over this country. And along with that, even in social trends, you can see this kind of retreat to conservatism and trad wife life. And this can just be seen in even trends, like the preppy aesthetic, the very like off-the-end polo vibe aesthetic, clean girl aesthetic, healthy eating, skinny white women. So in a time when so much is happening politically, and we're also seeing that shift even in just everyday social trends that not everyone is clocking, I don't think it's a good time to play on satire where you're pretty much just putting down women. It's kind of giving what Sydney Sweeney just did, where she's like selling her bathwater as soap. I understand you're trying to stick it back to the men, but that is going to go over a lot of people's heads, unfortunately. Like, yes, it's funny, it's smart, the people that get it will get it, but unfortunately we're not in a climate where everyone is going to get it, and so now you're just kind of using this satire in a way that's still putting women down. I saw someone say this and I totally agree. I think the album cover could have been so much funnier if it was the man on the ground being dragged and she was up there. And listen, I think the bombshell aesthetic, like vintage 70s aesthetic, really does work for her, but I do think it's also like kind of read the room. I get the concept, but I don't think it's a time to be making jokes about like being a dog for men. You know what I mean? I just don't. It's kind of like using dark humor in a situation that's not appropriate whatsoever. I hate to my girl Sabrina. I love her so bad. I love her aesthetic. I love her music, but I just think, ugh.
Respectfully, Sabrina Carpenter's album cover is not setting back feminism 2 decades. The discourse that y'all are engaging in is setting feminism back 2 to 3 decades. This discussion emerged in the 1980s with third wave feminism, and it was incredibly regressive then, and it is still very conservative and regressive. God forbid a woman be kinky or in charge of her prowess, and I think Sabrina Carpenter has proved that she is a formidable performer, and she performs femininity the way she wants to, and if you guys don't like that. Also, they're snatching people off the streets and kids are dying, and Iran just got bombed, and this is what y'all are talking about. I think everybody needs to read some seminal texts. Sorry, I said seminal, but some watershed texts on feminism and desire and sexuality. You guys sound like incels. Hope this helps.
When I saw Sabrina Carpenter's brand new album cover, I immediately thought of the video of Cassie being dragged by the hair across the hallway by Diddy. And the thing that's pissing me off about this whole thing the most is the notion that if we don't like the album cover, we apparently don't get it. It's like, no. We get it. We get she's trying to make a commentary. It's very, very obvious if you look at the imagery and the music video, the Man-Child music video, the lyrics to Man-Child, like the fact that the album's called Man's Best Friend. We get what she's trying to do. It's not working. In this political climate where women are being killed more than we ever have been before, that 120,000 men become perpetrators of DV and SA yearly, this album cover is too close to reality in this political climate for her to be using it as a way to make a commentary on the way that women are treated. It's not cutesy, it's not sexy, it's scary. It's actually scary. What I want to
get at here is if you are watching commentary on this whole thing on TikTok and you're about to leave a comment being like, you just don't get it, stop. Like, I've seen people come on this app and say that they've had panic attacks looking at the album cover because it's reminded them of or triggered a situation from their past where they've maybe been abused. Don't say you don't get it. Women are very valid and justified to be having emotional, physical, visceral responses to seeing an image like this, which in my opinion is very inherently violent. No matter how cutesy you want to make it, it's a violent image. It's a violent act that's being committed. No matter what commentary she's going to have on the way women are treated, it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter because you've already set the tone. So while no, I don't think this album cover is setting feminism back 5 decades, it's certainly not helping.
If the discourse about Sabrina's album cover wasn't bad enough, there is a woman who is alleging that Sabrina stole her band's artwork. And she alleges this is not the first time Sabrina and her team have done this to smaller creatives.
Okay, so this is artwork that my former band called Bad Larry's created in 2017, 8 years ago, for an album of demos that we released on Bandcamp called Good Boys. And here is some artwork Sabrina Carpenter posted yesterday on Instagram to announce her new album called Man's Best Friend. And here is a side-by-side comparison of the two. Okay. So Bad Larry's is a DIY band, and we have not been active since 2022. And this album of demos was something that we recorded super early in our time together as a band. The songs were recorded in our friend's basement, and the artwork was created by myself and another bandmate, Zoe. I went to Petco myself to get the tag engraved, took the photo of the collar on my family's dog, Larry, with my dad's camera, and Zoe hand drew and painted the text. So this was never intended to be a profitable project, obviously, but was something that we did put a lot of love and effort into, and at the time, we were really proud of it. I recognize the differences in the artwork and am aware it is not an exact copy. But the thing that has prompted me to feel a bit skeptical is that someone who has worked with Sabrina and her team before as a graphic designer knows all the members of Bad Larry's personally, and we have many mutual connections. He has claimed to have not worked on this current album cycle, but I would not be surprised if somehow our image ended up in the mix as inspiration for some project of Sabrina's at some point, and then perhaps someone else ran with it for this album cycle. You will probably never know. The comparisons feel undeniable, and Sabrina's team does have a history of being inspired by smaller artists for visual projects, including merch designs and album covers. Her 2024 album cover for Short and Sweet drew comparisons to a photo taken by Bruno Jumaner of French model Tiffany Collier. Sorry for those French pronunciations. And I believe that image was used as an ad in a French magazine. And the photo was posted on Tiffany's Instagram account in 2018. And here is that post. Okay. And another one for Sabrina's Emails I Can't Send tour. The poster and merch design was directly ripped from the musician Jeffrey Lewis, and Jeffrey created his design in 2012. So here is both his design and the version that Sabrina's team created for her tour. So unfortunately, there is very little that small independent artists with no funds can do to fight stolen intellectual property. We made $0, maybe like $50 at most on Bandcamp, probably less, off our concept and design. And it is super frustrating knowing one of the biggest pop stars of the moment is profiting off our IP. So if you have any legal advice, feel free to reach out and share that with me. Just a reminder, support your local artists.